Welcome to another Synfig tutorial. Now, in the original beginner Synfig series, there are quite a number of things that I left out, and one of those things is the free time layer. What is the free time layer, you might ask? Well, this layer allows you to control the timing of your animation without having to reanimate every single thing. Now, of course, you can also reuse your keyframes or your animations. You can loop or reverse your animations, and one of the main features of this layer is that it's non-destructive, which means it does not affect your original keyframes. So you can just turn off the layer if you no longer need it, and you can go back to your original keyframes. Now, that may not make any sense right now, but once I demonstrate it, it will make even more sense, okay? Or even less sense. Alright, so let's begin. Now, firstly, I've mapped shortcut keys to pretty much all of my tools over here, so I will be using shortcut keys a lot. So I'm just going to add a circle to my scene here. And let me just move it over here somewhere into the center. Now, to get started, I am going to add keyframes to my circle. So I'm going to turn on the animate button here, and let's go to the keyframe properties and just delete this initial waypoint there. I don't like those, so I'm going to switch back here, and I'm going to add an initial keyframe here. So I'm going to right click, add waypoint to add a keyframe there, and I'm going to move down one layer. So we're on frame 0 now, so I'm going to move down to frame 1. And I'm going to move this up. Now we can perform any movement at all. I'm just choosing to go up and maybe add another keyframe and move this down. So we have 3 keyframes, one with the circle being in the center or near the center of the scene. Then the next one is up, the next one is down. Now we don't have to, or you don't have to begin at frame 0. We could come anywhere on our timeline and add our keyframes. So how this works now is I'm going to place this into a group. So I'm going to press the group icon here, and I'm going to go into that folder, and I'm going to add my free time layer above my circle here. So I'm going to go right click, new layer, time, free time. Okay, now with the free time layer added, if I try to move, notice that there's no animation going on. That is because the free time layer has now taken on the job of performing all of those animations. That is, it basically takes on the ability of the keyframe. So if I should turn this off, we can see the movement is still there. But if I turn it on, I can go anywhere on my timeline here. And if you look here in the properties of the free time layer, we see frame 0. So this allows me to select the frame that I want. So let's say I want my ball to move up. We know that that is on frame 1. So let me just type frame 1 here, and the ball moves up. I can come anywhere on my timeline again, and let's say we want to go back into the default position, and we know that that is on frame 0. We can just type 0 and it goes back there. And of course we can reverse these so it goes in the opposite direction, and also we can add the other keyframes. So we have 3 keyframes and the other one is 2. So if I should add this, press 2, we can see now that the ball is going down. So that is how the free time works. And again, your keyframes will always be there. So we can just turn off the free time layer, and if we select our circle here, we have our keyframes. Now, how does this work with multiple layers? Well, I have an example here. So I am going to add some keyframes to my object here. This rig is rigged with bones, and we can't necessarily take on the actions of bones using the free time layer. So we'll have to put our free time layer inside of the layer that contains the animated elements. That may sound a bit confusing, so let me just demonstrate what I mean. So let's say, for example, I'm going to turn on the animate button here, and let me go to my controls here and click on the face. Let's say I add a keyframe here on frame 1 to the face. And I'm just going to go to frame 2, and let's say we wanted our Jake bird here to look down. So we have 1, 2. In order to make use of the free time layer, we couldn't, or let me say it wouldn't work if we add our free time layer here. So if I right click, new layer, time, free time, and if I move back and forth, notice that the free time layer hasn't taken on the animation of the control here. So we can't put it inside of the control layer, and this is if you have bones and stuff like that, or additional controls. So you'll have to place this inside of the folder that contains the elements of the face. So I'm just going to right click this and click cut, and we'll open up our bird here, and we'll go down to the face layer. So the face layer, body face, and this is it right here. So we can place it anywhere inside of this folder. So I'm just going to right click on this top one here and click on paste, and we can turn that off so you can see where it is. So this is the folder that contains the entire face here. Now if we go back and forth, we can see that the head is no longer moving, or the face is no longer moving. So we can now use our free time controller and add our animation. So we can say, okay, maybe here type frame 1, we have it going down, and then maybe here we have 0, and we can control the animation here using the free time layer. And we can of course speed it up by moving the keyframes closer together, or we can slow it down by moving them further apart. Now, if you're wondering if we can have multiple free time layers, you can. Let's say maybe we wanted to get the tail moving and have a free time controller manipulating that. I'm just going to select the tail here, come back to frame 0, and again, you don't have to be on frame 0. I just like coming back to the beginning because it's easier to remember. And let me just move the tail here a bit, and then I'm going to go to frame 1, move the tail up. So we have that movement going on there. And to utilize the free time layer, we need to make sure that we're inside of the tail folder. So here inside of the tail folder, I'm just going to right click and go to new layer, time, free time, and I'm going to add the free time above the tail layer. So we can see that it has taken over the control of the tail. And of course, we know that we can go anywhere on the timeline, and let's say, okay, maybe 1, tail goes up, maybe go back here, 0, and the tail goes back down. So you can quickly reuse keyframes using the free time layer. And of course, I'm sure you can come up with multiple other ways that you can utilize this. One thing though is that if you have, let's say you have 100 layers, right, or 100 groups, now this could become very cluttered, and you might be wondering, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go into the folder to find the free time layer. Well, no, you can add these to your sets. So for example, here I have free time. Let me just rename this. So I can call this FACE-FT. So FT is just to indicate that this is a free time layer. You don't have to name it this way. And then I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to right click and click add layers to set. And I'm going to type FACE-FT. So I know that this is my free time layer for my face, and it will be added to my set here. And then we can go back to the tail here, and we can name this maybe tail FT. And we can also add that to our sets. So we can just right click, add layers to set, and we can call this tail FT. Add, and now we can find those layers easily by just selecting them and then altering the keyframes. Okay, so I hope this tutorial has benefited you in some way, shape, or form. So you can go ahead and experiment with the free time layer. It's nothing new, but I just realized that I did not have a tutorial on it. And that's it for this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one.